Hi, I'm Ryan, and welcome to Tales of the Clips. Unfortunately, today my partner cannot join me for this podcast. Um, Ugly week for the Clippers this weekend. We had a game on Saturday, took the loss to the Memphis Grizzlies 113 to 104, and a loss to the Miami Heat 104 to 101. So let's just dive into the first game, and that one would be the Memphis Grizzlies. Definitely a game that I would have liked to see the Clippers win, but it's not the worst thing that they lost it because Memphis has shown that they're a very good team this year. Um, I mean, the Clippers should not have given up 113 points to a just average offense in the NBA right now, and I honestly expected the Clippers to get about 104 points. That seemed about right to me. Mike Conley, he was pretty big. He got 22 points and Marc Gasol with 21. I think one of the biggest factors in the game was Tyreke Evans with 20 points coming off the bench. And he got 31 minutes and he just came up huge for the Memphis Grizzlies in this one. So we also have on the Clippers, the main person that I want to talk about is Danilo Gallinari. So there's actually been rumors of him having hip problems, and he said that it was very hard for him to run and move up the court. So I'm going to be monitoring that. I would monitor that very closely because it's rumored that he's going to sit a few games, and he's most likely going to sit against the San Antonio Spurs, which is the day of recording this, November 7th. So hopefully he gets better soon. And I would expect him to sit for the majority of this week, probably the next 2 or 3 games. A lot of people have criticized Austin Rivers for his play. He shot 2 for 9 against the Grizzlies, and he was 1 for 4 from 3-pointers. But that's fairly excusable. Not a terrible game. Blake Griffin, I was definitely disappointed to see that he turned the ball over 5 times, and Lou Williams turned the ball over 4 times. But overall, I think the main takeaway from the game against the Memphis Grizzlies was the communication on defense. The Clippers, they just left the Grizzlies players open for 3 a lot, it seemed like, as they made 13 threes. And to be honest, I don't see the Grizzlies as a major 3-point threat in the NBA. So that was disappointing. So let's dive into the next game. That was against the Miami Heat. They lost in a very close game, 104 to 101. This game was really ugly, in my opinion. The way that the game went in every quarter, except probably the fourth, did not look good for the Clippers. In the first quarter, they were outscored 34 to 20. They won the second quarter 29 to 28, and they lost 10 points in the third quarter, 27 to 17. In the fourth quarter, however, they outscored the Miami Heat 35 to 15, and ultimately they lost 104 to 101, as I previously stated. I think that the problem was they gave too many shots to the Heat from 3. The Heat shot 14 of 36 from 3-point, and there were just too many open shots. Communication on defense would definitely be great to see in the upcoming games, maybe even this week. So let's highlight a couple players for the Clippers. So Blake Griffin, he's always a major scorer for the Clippers. 8 for 18 shooting and 23 points. And we also had Lou Williams having the same numbers, 8 for 18 shooting, but 22 points. So the turnover problem was not great, but definitely improved from the game before that. Yeah. DeAndre Jordan had 19 rebounds in the game. Patrick Beverley had 8, which definitely is a lot of rebounds for a point guard. DeAndre Jordan definitely kept the Clippers in this game with his back taps off the offensive misses, as he had 11 offensive rebounds. So yeah, that was really great to see from DeAndre. He helped the Clippers in the long run. So a lot of you guys are probably thinking, what happened in this close game? Why did the Clippers not finish? So Austin Rivers, he could have, I think, tied the game in the final minutes with 2 free throws, and he missed that. And then when the Clippers they were down, they were down 102 to 101. Blake Griffin, he missed a shot that could have won the game for the Clippers, and then they had to intentionally foul, which gave them 2 shots at the line and resulted in the final score of 104 to 101. So I would have liked to see Austin make that, because that would have given the Clippers the lead. And then Blake wouldn't have had to make that tough shot to try to win the game. But it's just one game on the road to success, hopefully, for the Clippers. It was the second half of a back-to-back. I'm not sure how big of a difference that made in the games on Saturday and Sunday, but I just thought I should note that. Yeah, so the Clippers currently, this is November 7th, I should remind you again. In the West, they are currently 7th place. They are behind Houston, Golden State, Minnesota, San Antonio, Portland, and Memphis. But another positive to note is that they're only 2 games back from the leading Rockets. The Clippers have a pretty decently tough strength of schedule, as they are 3rd in the Western Conference behind the Golden State Warriors and Oklahoma City Thunder. So that's about all I have for this weekend's past games from the Clippers. And now I'm going to dive into a major trade that happened with Eric Bledsoe today. So Eric Bledsoe, earlier, if you guys recall, he tweeted out saying, "I don't want to be here," and one can obviously presume that he was talking about being on the Suns, as it was after a couple of tough losses, none of them being too close. So later he tried to cover that up, saying he was at the salon getting his haircut and he didn't want to be there at the moment. But I definitely do not believe that, and most people do not. So the trade was to the Milwaukee Bucks, and Eric Bledsoe was sent there for Greg Monroe and multiple draft picks. One of those was a first rounder. So my main takeaway from this trade has almost nothing to do with the Suns, as I don't think it changes much in the direction that their team's going. Obviously, they're not a very strong team. They'll probably be towards the bottom of the Western Conference. And it's pretty good that they got some picks out of this trade. And I don't think Greg Monroe is going to change much for their organization in the current or long run. So going to the Bucks, I think this definitely improves their chances to do well this season. They're only 4-5 right now, which is 10th place in the Eastern Conference. But I really think that with Eric Bledsoe having another person who can create a shot, and Giannis, who's looking really good this year, they'll have some really good potential to do well in the East. And my final topic for today is going to be the preview for tonight's game, Clippers versus the San Antonio Spurs. So the San Antonio Spurs, they're always a tough team, led by head coach Greg Popovich. They are currently 6-4, which puts them at a 3-way tie for 4th in the league. And let's dive right in. So the Spurs rank 26th out of 30 in points per game, and they rank 5th out of 30 for the opponent points per game. So I really think that the Spurs have been playing really solid defense, as you would expect from a team that has Kawhi Leonard on it. Looks like there are no injuries. And excuse that last mistake. Kawhi Leonard is obviously still dealing with that quadricep injury, and he has not played this season. Tony Parker has not played this season yet, and that's about it for the notable injuries for the Spurs at the moment. They're still looking like a solid team, obviously. Rudy Gay, Pau Gasol, LaMarcus Aldridge, obviously. So not a very strong offensive team, but a very strong defensive team. Kind of reminds me of what I said before the Grizzlies game that took place on Saturday. It's going to be a pretty big test again for the Clippers defense to see if they can have that increased communication and have the improvement there, because the Spurs definitely are not a high-scoring team. And we'll see how the Clippers offense will do. I think I haven't talked about the offense too much in this episode, but I just really think that they're doing well, and with some better shot making, which will just improve, because I think that there are a lot of good shooters on the Clippers team that they'll get back on track. So I'm going to predict a close win for the Clippers here on the road. So we'll see what happens. I just want to take a moment and say thank you guys so much for the feedback on the last episode. It's really nice to hear from you guys on Reddit. And I hope that there are some improvements that I've been able to make in this episode. And I can't wait to see where this podcast can go. Trying to upload 2 times a week, and one of those dates being on Thursday each week. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Really excited this week. The Clippers have games against the Spurs. I know they have a game against the Thunder.